So the first thing you have to do is cook the chicken, of course, and also create the stock for the soup base, if you will. Wait a minute.
What you need to do is put the chicken in the pot. And then you cover it with two quartered onions, about 3 or 4 stalks of celery quartered, some peppercorns, some garlic. I squeezed 2 lemons in there, and some bay leaves and some thyme and a little bit of cayenne pepper.
Okay, so what are you doing?
Right now I'm quartering all of the stuff for the stock, and this is going to get boiled into the stock, but later on we're going to filter it out because we're not going to be using these vegetables in the actual soup. It just goes to flavor the stock.
Oh, so you don't want them in there, you're just flavoring them.
Right. And then we add other vegetables later.
That you do want in there.
That you do want in there. I don't know if you did the onions or...
Okay.
Probably.
So now this is all for flavoring. It's not necessarily going to end up in the final product. Is that correct?
Exactly. This is all part of the stock. And most stocks have vegetables in them. You know, in some chicken soup recipes, some people put carrots in their stock, things like that. I like that. And then they might put rosemary or and thyme, which we're going to be using thyme.
Wasn't there a song about that one time? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme?
Yeah.
Was that a chicken soup recipe?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. For the chicken.
Have in there.
Okay, we have in there 1 whole chicken. About 3 celery stalks quartered. 2 onions quartered, 5 sprigs of thyme, some garlic, a tablespoon of whole peppercorns, 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and 2 bay leaves.
Fresh.
Everything fresh.
And tell me about the cayenne pepper.
Well, normally I put 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper, but Mom likes things less spicy, so I kick it down to 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper.
Okay, and so you put water on this and you cook it for till the chicken is...
About 2.5 quarts of water, and then you cook the chicken at medium heat for about 2 hours.
Okay. Okay, so now what are you doing?
Okay, I'm going to dice some vegetables.
You're fixing to?
Yeah, fixing to dice some vegetables. And basically bell pepper, celery, and onion are the 3 main vegetables. Like jambalaya, etouffee, gumbo. Most Cajun cooking starts with these 3 vegetables. A lot of times they use the green bell peppers, but I like the yellow bell peppers because they're sweeter.
And how did you learn to make this gumbo?
I took a bunch of different recipes that I thought were good, and then adapted my jambalaya recipe to it. So basically, I figured out how to make a roux, and then figured out about what color I liked my roux, or how long to cook it, and then added the vegetables that I usually add from the jambalaya with some sausage, and created this stock out of the chicken. it just kind of came together. I guess.
So what's the difference between jambalaya and
Jambalaya,
gumbo?
Jambalaya is like you start out with sausage, and there's no roux in a jambalaya, or not mine anyway. You start out with sausage and vegetables, and you cook all your meat and vegetables and let that stew in tomatoes. Is how I make it, and then pour that over rice.
So it's more of a casserole dish.
Yeah, I mean it can be like I pour.
The consistency is more like a casserole.
Yeah. So what I do is I mix all my jambalaya in with a special amount of rice, and once I mix that all up, I just put it in the fridge overnight and let the tomatoes soak into the rice, and I call it Cajun fried rice, but it's really jambalaya mixed up with rice.
Okay, so back to our original recipe.
Right, gumbo. Anyway, I've got to dice this, about 3 stalks of celery, I would think, and then this yellow bell pepper.
Okay.
I am cutting up sausage and cut up all my vegetables for the roux. And once I get done making the roux, then I cook all of this in with the roux for about 10 minutes until it gets soft. Then I pour my tomatoes and my reserved chicken broth over and let that cook down for about an hour and a half, I think.
Okay, so tell me about this sausage that you're cooking, that you're slicing.
Right, it's called andouille, and it's Cajun sausage. It comes from France, obviously, and I don't really know what's in it. I know it's a pork sausage, but it's a must-have if you're making gumbo because it just has the best flavor for it. Just getting a bowl and a strainer, and I'm going to take all of our stuff, chicken and water and all the vegetables and stuff like that, pour it into the strainer, and reserve the broth in this bowl. And then I'll set the chicken aside, and I'll use that as well.
So do you use the vegetables again, or that's just gone with the wind?
Yeah, vegetables are gone.
Okay, so you strain it to get the broth for the roux. Okay.
No. You don't use. The broth will be added to the roux later.
Oh, okay. So it'll be like the soup kind of basis of it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So go for it. Now, I'm assuming that you have a personal valet that picks up after you constantly.
Yes, when I cook.
Is she cute?
She's adorable.
Old but adorable.
When you're doing it's good. When you're doing the broth, don't move the chicken around too much. You don't want to break it up. It makes it easier to debone later.
Oh, why don't you debone it while it's hot?
Because I do it with my hands, and it burns.
Chicken, I do mine with my hands.
Well, I mean, I do it with my hands too, but I wait until it cools off.
I do it hot. You want me to do it for you?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll film you.
No, I'm too busy cleaning up. Alright, so we're getting the broth for our soup base, basically. And we're going to discard the vegetables that we use for seasoning. And then later, when your precious hands can handle it, we're going to debone the chicken, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, here we go. Okay. So now what are you doing?
Well, I'm measuring out the flour for a roux.
And a roux is like a paste that thickens the broth, is that correct?
Yeah, it's like basically it's like fried flour, and the more it cooks, the darker it becomes. And what we're gonna do is measure out equal parts flour and oil, and then you have to constantly whisk it for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that. It'll turn like a real dark brown color, and that's what we want.
So it's a gravy.
Pretty much.
So how much and how much?
Well, depending on how much roux you like and all that, I use about a cup and a half of oil and a cup and a half of flour. But I make a pretty big pot of gumbo.
This is take 2 of the roux. So what are you doing now?
Well, right now I'm measuring out about a cup and a half of oil, vegetable oil, just regular old vegetable oil.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw that in the pot, get that to heating up a little bit, and then measure out equal parts flour, equal parts oil and flour. So a cup and a half of flour as well. And then what you got to do is basically with a wire whisk, is just constantly whisk the roux for about 20-25 minutes. It's kind of labor intensive and boring, but
So you're just making a thickener really for the broth is what you're doing.
yeah, and to me it's like the most important part about the whole gumbo, you know. It determines how it tastes and everything else.
Why would flour and oil determine how something tastes?
Well, because depending on how dark or light you have it, it determines how it's going to taste.
And what do you add to this besides flour and water?
Okay, well once I get the real dark chocolatey color, I throw in all of this stuff for about 10 minutes until the onions are cooked through.
So that's onions and celery and can you kind of...
Yeah.
It's onions and celery
Onions, celery, yellow bell pepper.
I can't read. I can't not that.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, it's onion, celery, yellow bell pepper, and sausage. Little diced sausage.
Good. So you put that in your roux?
Yeah, I put it right in the roux once it gets dark enough. And then I cook that all of it together for about 10 minutes. And then,
So it's a flavored roux, basically.
yeah.
Okay.
And when the vegetables hit the roux, it smells so good. It's worth all the effort.
You do realize you're not Cajun?
Yeah, I know. I'm Texan.
I know. Well, that makes up for a lot.
Yeah.
Even cooking.
I am East Texan. That's pretty close.
Yeah. Well, let's not get carried away.
Yeah.
This is the roux.
Yeah, that's the roux, the vegetables that we put in it, all the reserve broth, 1 can of tomatoes, and that's it. And you just let that go for about an hour and a half. And I debone the chicken. I like to keep it in large chunks. As soon as I reintroduce the chicken back into the gumbo, I try not to stir it so much because I don't like the stringy chicken. I like big chicken bites. Then that's a pound of sausage cut up in bite-sized pieces, and we got the shrimp in the refrigerator. I squeezed fresh lemon juice all over the shrimp, and added a a little bit of Tony's seasoning, just a little bit. And so that's just sitting in the fridge doing its thing.
And how much shrimp?
There's about 1.5 pounds of peeled deveined shrimp.
So we have about 1.5 pounds of shrimp.
Raw.
Raw, that's how much it weighs. And then we have a whole chicken. And then we have this fancy sausage. And how much sausage?
Pound of sausage.
A pound, okay. So tell me what you've done.
Okay, well, you saw the chicken and sausage being cut out, and I just added it to the gumbo. So you can take a look. I don't know if you can get a good shot, but it's really good, nice and thick, and it's excellent.
So everything's in there now?
Everything but the shrimp. Put the shrimp in the last 5 minutes or it'll get tough. But we gotta cook that for about 15 minutes or so.
Now, have you ever seen a cooking show where the guy gets through, and usually it's a guy, the guy gets through cooking and the visiting chef has a little taste and he goes, mmm, and it's so good. So what if we have a little taste of this and it's awful? Oh, that's good.
It's excellent.
Well, all right.
So,
Okay, so you have the rice cooking.
yep, I got the rice cooking. I've got those green onions cut over there. And I'm putting the shrimp in now. And they're gonna cook for about 5 minutes.
And the shrimp are marinated in Creole seasoning and lemon juice.
Lemon juice, yeah. Lots of lemon.